What up, guys? Welcome back to Base Damage. Today going to be showing off another deck profile from the Fate series. I am a real big fan of the Fate series itself. Play Grand Order basically like every day and whatnot. So when Fate Grand Order was announced for Weiss, I was very much excited and was like, okay, cool, I can mess around with a whole bunch of different stuff. We got Babylonia, and recently, I say recently, but like tail end of last year, we got Camelot, which is interesting because I wasn't certain if they could mix, but I have confirmed you can mix the two. The only thing is, obviously, you got to worry about traits. So, with Babylonia, they all have there's like straight up a Babylonia trait. But in Camelot, the same for them, as well as they have like Knight of the Round. Yeah. Integrity Knight. No, kidding. But the one trait that is shared amongst both of the sets is the Chaldea trait. I said Mash here has Chaldea, but this from the Camelot also has Chaldea. So any of those effects in here that state, your Babylonia or Chaldea, your Camelot or Chaldea, whatever, it works for the entire thing, for this entire deck right here. So I will admit, just go ahead and disclaimer, this is not a budget deck by any means of the imagination. The Camelot cards are pretty cheap. Like, even this, like, my level 3 combo for this is not expensive, and it's a double rare. Like, as of the recording of this right now, the Camelot cards are very, very affordable. But on the flip side, the Babylonia ones are not as affordable. Like I'll show on the screen now, there's, I did look and see, like, the double rares especially, the level 3 early play mash, the level 1 combo in here, the brainstorm, actually, okay, it's just 1, 2, 3, all right there. All of these are $10 or more, and I think one or two of them is about $18. I can't remember the prices off the top of my head. I just know this is definitely not a budget deck, and there's also, like, promos you can get that are also not on the budget-friendly side. That being said, there is you can replace this with other level 3s from both of the sets. The early play can be replaced. The level 1 can also be replaced. There's a level 1 mash from Camelot that you can run. And this mash can be replaced with this Brainstormer Da Vinci. Like, more copies of that. If you just want to run like 4 copies of this, you could. So, if you do that, it's budget-friendly. But let's get right into this, just starting off with what... I picked up all these cards before they shot up in price. So, to start off with the level 3s, we have Shared Journey Mash. If your waiting room has 2 or less climaxes, this gets -1 level in hand. It gets 1,000 power for each of your other Chaldea or Babylonia characters. I'm just going to say for each of your other Chaldea, because Babylonia and Camelot's not going to matter for this. 1,000 for each of your other Chaldea in backstage, making her an 11. And on play, you can discard a card to heal the top card of your clock to your stock. Mash does have some other healers, if I'm not mistaken. This one does not. But it does have some other healers. She does have some other healers, so you can replace her with something. So, 2 copies of that. 4 copies of Knight of the Sacred Shield Mash. This is from the Camelot set. Like I said, you can see Chaldea still here, but it has an effect for gets 1,000 power for each of your other Chaldea or Camelot in backstage. So it doesn't matter, they all have Chaldea. So she can also become an 11. When this attacks, if Lord Camelot, which is the 1k1 Pants trigger, is in play, choose one of your characters, and that character gets the following 2 abilities until the end of your opponent's next turn. The first one is the character facing this gets -3 soul, which is really nice. And the second effect is when this card is frontal attacked, you can pay 1 and discard 1 card, and this cannot become reversed until the end of the turn. So her whole thing is just setting up a wall. As per Shielder, So a lot of like negative soul effects don't typically get up to -3 soul. They typically are like -2 or something, which isn't bad. It's just really cool that gives it this for free. It's just on attack. You don't have to reverse or anything. But it can also deny your opponent on reverse clock shoots, on reverse burns, and stuff like that. She just can't become reversed. No matter how big they get, it does not matter. She will just, you can do that, pay that cost, and she is ready to go the next turn. So 4 copies of this, 2 copies of this one from the Babylonia set, attack by a formidable enemy, Fujimaru, and mash. As a 3/2/10k, for all of your other characters with mash, get the following ability, which is when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 2 stock to burn for 1. So, pretty cool. When this is placed on stage from hand, draw up to 2 cards, choose 2 cards in your hand, put them into your waiting room, and put 1 card from the top of your deck into your stock. So if you hardcast this, it does pay for part of its cost, so it's pretty cool. You get to do a good bit of hand filtering, maybe dig for your climaxes. This is good. Lastly, 2 copies of The Way of a Round Table Knight mash. 3/2/10k. At the beginning of your opponent's draw phase, this card, and at the beginning of your opponent's draw phase, and if this card is in your center stage, choose one of your characters. That character gets 4,000 power till end of turn. Secondly, when this card attacks, you can pay 1 and pitch 1. If you do, this card gets 2,000 power, and the following ability until end of turn. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you may deal 1 damage to your opponent. Pretty cheap in terms of like being able to do a little bit on reverse burn. You don't have any, like, that's it for level 3. You don't really have, like, a whole bunch of climax combos for, burning or clock shooting or anything of that nature. Your main thing, like, you got these 2 that can give your other mash characters on reverse burn or on attack burn. It's all on reverse burn. I had to make certain that it was on reverse. But your main climax combo for level 3 is just making certain that you survive for, just making certain that you still have characters and protecting yourself. So, it fits the theme very well for MASH as it is. So, nextly, the level 2s. We only have 2 different level 2s here. We have 4 copies of Qualified to Know Her Origins MASH. 4 copies is 2/1. It's a 3/5. All your level 3 or higher characters in front of this card get 2k power. So, pretty good as it is. Has a climax combo with Lord Camelot. You can send her to the waiting room when Lord Camelot gets placed, and if you do, choose a copy of the level 3 climax combo in your hand and put it on the stage position that this card was on. She also has a act where you can tap her to draw a card and then discard 1 card. So a little bit of hand filtering. She can sit around for a minute, works with the early play. If you're able to get the early play out at level 2, she's going to buff that one. So 4 copies of this. 1 copy of Whereabouts of the Holy Grail Romani Archiman. As a 2/1 2500 backup. When you use this card's backup, you may pay the cost, which is 2 stock, and discard and put a Chaldea or Camelot character from your hand into your waiting room. If you do, choose one of your opponent's characters with a higher level than their level and put it on the bottom of their deck. So, always good to have an anti-change like this, even if all of your stuff is fairly big defensively, and it's always good to make certain that you can get rid of like problem cards. And that is going to round it out for the level 2s. Next, we're going to get into the level 1s. We also don't have so many level 1s, but they fit everything we want them to do. So first off is from the first set is Trust in Her Master Mash Kirillite is a 1/0/45. If you have 2 or more other Chaldea characters, this gets 1,000 power, so it's a 55 constantly. When this attacks, if Belief in Her Choice, which is this 1k1 book trigger, is in play, and you have another Chaldea, you may pay the cost, which is discarding 1 card. If you do, look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 2 Chaldea characters from amongst them, reveal them to your opponent, and put them into your hand. So it's not exactly something like Zek and Yuki, but it does something similar in the fact of you get to add 2 cards instead of just like 1 off of this. You don't have to reverse, which is really good, and there's other cards that actually buff her up when we get to the level 0s. But this is very good. There is a level 1 that's like an on-reverse climax combo that also combos with Lord Camelot, if you want to maximize on Lord Camelot. So I contemplated running both, but I instead decided to go with this promo. It's a 1/0/4k Unexpected Sight Mash Kirillite. If you have 2 or more other Chaldea or Camelot characters, this gets 2k power. So it's a 1/0/6k offensively. And defensively, during your opponent's turn, this gets an additional 1,000 power. So it's a 1/0/7k defensively before any of your other buffs, which is very helpful when you have 3 copies of this Ritsuka. Journey for Somebody's Sake, Ritsuka Fujimaru. So 1/0, it's a free 2k backup. It's 1,000 backup, and then when you use the backup, if you have a Chaldea, choose one of your characters, and it gets an additional 1,000. So you're sitting here with like a 7k booty before anything else, and a backup that makes it a 9k is going to prevent your opponent from killing it. Like I said, this mash also gets bigger. We'll go ahead and showcase that in a moment here. It is with... Okay, no, it's with this one particular card down here, so it's the very last one. So, that'll be later. But this gives a buff to this, and we'll see it in a second. That's it for the level 1s. We're going to go to the level 2s. For the level 2s, I have quite a bit of utility. And I wanted to try to make ratios a bit easier, but this just felt right to have a little bit of utility for a lot of different things. So, getting into it, obviously we have Enticing Words. Fujimaru is a 002K. When this is placed from stage in hand, look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top or on the bottom of your deck. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 and pitch 1, search your deck for a Chaldea character. So, drop Searcher, really good. 2 copies of Journey for Somebody's Sake, Mash Kirillite, is a 0015. It is a global 500 to all Chaldea characters, just really good. And when it's placed on stage from hand, you can discard a Chaldea to draw 1 card. So, a little bit of hand filtering, pretty good. 2 copies of this. I almost wanted to bump this up to 3, and I'm contemplating that for this next one, possibly. But this is still good defensively in case like you don't draw like the other mash down here, which we'll get to in a minute. 001K. During your opponent's turn, if you have another Chaldea, this gets 3k power. So it's a 4k defensively. At level 0, this isn't really hurting you to like go ahead and play this, even if you don't have the second effect, which is when this card is placed on stage from hand, you can discard a Climax to salvage a Chaldea from waiting room. Really good to have like a drop salvager as well, because you got draw triggers, you got pants triggers, you're gonna probably have extra copies of Climaxes in your hand. So it was kind of a toss-up for this card, but I did want to have a little bit more of like something that I could run on my opponent's turn in terms of having some kind of offense. Then we have 2 copies of Towards the Final Singularity Mash. It is a 001,000. Your other character in the middle position of the center stage gets 500 power, and it's a Brainstorm. Pay 1, tap this card, mill 4. For each Climax, search your deck for a Chaldea, add it to your hand. This is just really good. Like I said, if you can't afford it, you could bump it with bump this Da Vinci up to 4 and run this instead, but we'll get to that. 4 copies of With This Flesh and Bone Mash Kirillite. 001K. When this card attacks, if your hand has 5 or more cards, choose one of your characters, and that character gets 2k power until end of turn. You can use it on herself, or you can even use it, say, for your level 1 combo to make certain that she survives multiple turns. Just getting pretty big is really nice. At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you may move this to an open position of your center stage. So, Free Runner, this is a mandatory 4 of. This is from Camelot, the Camelot set, so this is really cheap right now, and it's a double rare. I'm actually surprised at how cheap this was. Get it while you can. Then 2 copies of Great Genius Leonardo da Vinci. This is 001K. At the beginning of your Climax phase, you can choose one of your characters, and it gets 500 power till end of turn. Really good. Brainstormer, pay 1, rest this card, mill 4. For each Climax revealed, salvage back a character from your waiting room. So, you are going to mill a good bit, like, say, with this Climax combo and everything. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility to, like, run just this Brainstormer instead of the other one, since it's a little more expensive. But this is also a double rare. And when I check this is not that expensive right now. I get it while you can. So, lastly, one of the main reasons I even wanted to run this deck to begin with, because I saw it bridge the gap between the 2 sets. 2 copies of Commencing Duel Mash Kirillite. All of your this is a promo for when Camelot came out, but it affects the level 1 mash from the Babylonia set. So this was really cool. All of your other Trust in Her Master Mash Kirillite get 1,000 power, just anywhere, it doesn't matter. So really cool. And then when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can discard one of these 2 particular names of Climaxes, and then choose a copy of one of these particular name Climaxes and add it to your hand. So you can pitch Belief in Her Choice and grab Lord Camelot, or pitch Lord Camelot and grab Belief in Her Choice. But these are specifically from different sets, too. So I like how this promo bridges the gap between the 2, and makes it so you can... I'm like, when I saw it, I'm like, wait, you can mix these 2, right? And obviously this confirms that you can. Obviously you can go check the English Weiss site and see that you can, first off, by checking out the sets. As long as it has FGO at the front, you can run it in the same deck. But this, like, it bridges the gap between the two, and I thought that was really cool. So being able to, do a little bit of a swap depending on what you need at the time, really cool. Like I said, there's so much good utility between drop searchers, drop salvagers, drop draw, and drop swap. Just really good. You got multiple brainstormers, runners, defensive. The level 0 lineup was a bit hard to finalize, and this isn't even... You can, like, totally change this up. There's other good level 0s. There's other things you can swap around, but this is what I decided to settle on, mostly because I have the cards for it. It's like, fuck it, why not? But yeah, that is the deck. It's very defensive. It still has some offense in the form of, like, some on-reverse burn, especially at level 3 and everything. And this, like, with this level 2, you can early play out to this mash and survive way longer by trying to drop that negative soul on your opponent. So, just really good. And like I said, the expensive cards in the deck, you can swap out with other things. So, it may not be budget at, this list, but you can make something that is way more budget. And it's just a matter of researching and looking into your options. You're probably going to end up grabbing cards mainly from Camelot, but you can grab stuff from the first set as well and use it to your advantage. So with that, thank y'all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe if you want. If not, thank you for checking out the best Kouhai in all of Fate. And we will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.